Islam has so many cool stories that hardly any of us know about. For example, did you know there's a man who will stand between Prophet Muhammad and Prophet Isa alayhi salam on the Day of Judgment? And this guy is just a regular dude. No wahi, no prophet, no kitab, nothing. This person's name is Zayd ibn Amr ibn Nufayl. And unlike the rest of his people who were worshipping sticks, stones and bread, this person believed in one Allah. He was what was known as a Hanif. What's a Hanif, you ask? Well, if you go into Deen Buddy and ask about it, it will tell you that a Hanif is somebody who believes in Allah alone when the rest of his people don't. For example, Allah calls Ibrahim alayhi salam a Hanif. And that comes in handy later. You see, Zayd ibn Amr, as well as 4 other individuals from Mecca, they said, we're not gonna worship these sticks and stones. We're gonna do what our great
5 years later,
grandfather Ibrahim alayhi salam did. Worship Allah alone. So Zayd rejects the tradition of his people and goes back to what Ibrahim alayhi salam does. He doesn't eat anything slaughtered in the name of the idols, and he calls his people away from all the evil that they used to do. For example, when his people would bury their daughters alive, he would go to them and say, don't bury her, I'll raise her for you. So overall, pretty chill guy. Quraysh being Quraysh, they immediately persecute him and tell everyone in the town to stay away from him. To the extent that one young man from Banu Hashim comes up to him and asks, why do the people tell us to stay away from you? And he just replies saying, I'm only following what Ibrahim did. But you see, Zayd ibn Amr, he was a man who was locked in. He knew that a prophet was due to come, and not just any prophet, the greatest and final of the messengers. So he goes with one of his close friends, Waraqa ibn Nawfal, all the way to Syria to gain news about this final prophet. But when he arrives in Syria, the scholar of ancient texts tells him, that prophet is due to come from your town. What are you doing here? So he rushes back to Mecca, but tragedy strikes. Before he makes it back to Mecca, he's caught by highway robbers, and they're intent on unaliving him. So he makes one final dua to Allah saying, oh Allah, even though I couldn't meet your final messenger, let my children at least be his companions. And his son is Sa'id ibn Zayd, one of the Ashara Mubashara. But you know what makes this tragic? That young man from the Banu Hashim who he met was a young Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam before Nubuwwah. And when his son Sa'id asked the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam about his father's condition in the Akhirah, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, your father will stand between me and Jesus as a nation by himself.